Motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
This is giving us the right to block the freeways and stuff like that.
Councilman, it still does not supersede state laws. Superseding state law would, they would be in violation. All this is a memorandum of understanding between us and TDOT, with the understanding that we will, try to, free up that space, open immediate lanes for traffic. But our safety for our, emergency workers still is the highest priority.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Manning.
Yes.
Councilmember Sewell.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Resolution is approved. Item C is that item that we decided not to move forward. That will be something we look at in 2 weeks. It was on the work session agenda, so we're not going to address it here tonight in this meeting. Item D is a report on 2015 general obligation debt obligation state form number CT-0253. Help us out, Dad.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor. Yeah. Members of the council, this form CT is a form that finance officers use regularly in Tennessee whenever we get debt approved by the comptroller in advance. Once we get that approval in advance, we file this. We're bond count, the council files this on our behalf as a part of the issuance process. We do it if it's a smaller note of capital outlay. In this case, Mark Hamilton filed this on the city's behalf. We did get just to be clear, we did get this approved in advance as we had done over the last year and a half. We're going to keep doing that. And just to point something out on the front page here, the state comptroller says we have to report this form to the council just so that we are adequately reporting on debt after the fact, after that transaction is concluded. That way we're keeping the council and the public adequately informed. I would like to point out that our financial advisor did a good job. They were able to get that interest cost, which they had estimated at 2.8 on the front end of the process down to 2.63. And so when we came in, our high bidder was actually a lot higher, or much lower in this case in terms of the interest than the next two best bidders. So we did really well taking it to market in this case. The payments are consistent when you add the interest and this is what's called a balloon debt because the interest, because of the way that the interest and principal work over time. But when you add those together, they do balance out and they do remain stable over the year. PFM was, we worked together to make sure that the city had a consistent level of debt service every time. Again, knowing we could refinance in 12 years, probably will, so that we can capitalize on better rates or shortening that term so that we can make quicker, having water region money coming in at that time. If anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to.
Thank you, sir. Got good interest rates. So.
They're good, right?
All right. Item E, discussion of disposal of contraband weapons.
I wanted to talk to the council, see if anybody had any questions about the TCA 3917, 1317, which is the disposal of seizure and forfeiture firearms. This is a law that went into effect in 2011, and one of the things we've been trying to do in property and evidence is get that office up, get those items that are inside that office out and dispose of them properly. The state mandates that we do it a couple of different ways. One is to sell them. The other one is to an exchange. When you go into the sale of these firearms, it is pretty intricate. There's a possibility that if you don't get some of your T's and your I's crossed, you can get in trouble. So the easiest way to do this would be through an exchange method. And by the statute itself, it is limited on what the exchange can be for. It can be for further firearms, ammunition, or body armor is what it's limited to. So what we would like to do, and I wanted to make sure nobody had any questions or anything, we started putting together small lots of these guns. We had the ATF come in last year through their e-tracing system to try to make sure it backs up the NCIC, that none of these firearms are used in a crime. They're not going to pop up after we get rid of them and come back as a gun that gets stolen or anything of that nature. Sort of backing up NCIC is what we're using, the ATF's own software. We would like to take and exchange these firearms for some patrol rifles. And I think everybody's seen a week ago how valuable it is for us to have patrol rifles. That unfortunate situation could happen here. And we're sort of behind as far as having equipment of that nature. We have some, but it's very limited. And with a new patrol rifle SOP going in, we'd like to try to upgrade all of our uniform patrol to have a rifle in their car, just in case something like this might happen. You know, you want to always hope that it never does, but you definitely don't want to be underarmed if it does. So by trading these in, we're looking at 40 firearms with an allotment from GT Distributors of about $3,605. So that would fund approximately 4 rifles and some necessary training and ammunition to go with that. Since we are stepping up our training to 2 times a year on qualifying, this would help tremendously. It would be no additional cost through our budget to the taxpayer, and by getting rid of the guns, it would go to that training and sort of self-fund itself. For quite a while, we have several firearms. So I wanted to see if anyone might have any questions.
Have you bid those out?
No, we did not go through the bid. It mandates that the firearms licensee has to be a law enforcement firearms licensee. That I know of, GT Distributors is the only one local in town that would do that. The next one would be Craig's Distributors out of Knoxville, and I believe there's one place in Nashville. But since it's local, we wanted to go with somebody on that particular thing to see who would give us the exchange or a quote on that.
You're talking about 40 firearms for, and how much?
They were going to allot us $3,605.
Seems awful cheap.
You ought to see some of the guns, they're pretty cheap.
Okay.
Councilman Gravitt, I think most everybody here knows that I'm an advocate of firearms. I did an assessment on this before they did, and what I seen and what I wrote down, I came up with about $3,200.
Okay. Them being the only local distributor, law
Law
enforcement
enforcement
distributor,
firearms.
I just wanted to be sure they weren't lowballing.
No, they did a good job, and I think they knew because I was holding their feet to the fire too.
Can't get them throw one more gun in.
Sir?
You can't get them throw one more gun rifle in.
Well, these are, they did spec us out a rifle, which is a pretty good firearm. It's a Wyndham M4 style, 5.56 caliber with some of the necessary equipment such as slings, attachments for lights, backup sights, iron sights. We're looking at around $795 per rifle. That's a pretty good quote on a brand new AR-15, especially with some of the equipment. There would be some further equipment we would like to have, but to get the program started, as far as getting rid of the firearms and getting the program started to get the rifles in the cars, you know, we're we're trying to do that, to get a baseline in.
Your opinion, which way be best?
Exchange it. That way it cuts down on any possibilities of paperwork coming back on us. And as long as they stay pretty good with the prices they gave us, I'm pretty content with that.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, if I could add something, and Chief, if you could possibly be in touch with City Attorney Al North. There was a public chapter 408 that went into effect. That law was slightly tweaked this year by the state. It went into effect in May 2015, so I'm sure you have the amendments to the law, but just to make sure, I guess, most important possibly is that there is a best efforts to make sure that the guns that were seized and about to be sold do not belong to law-abiding citizens. That was something that was massaged into the law, and so I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. And there's a few other changes that are important, so I want to point that out.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Our main concern was subsection D, or excuse me,
Chief, if you got the most recent, because what he's talking about was a bill filed by Representative William Landworth. Have you got the most recent one with those changes?
that I could find, I believe I do, but I will double check. I will double check.
So, provided Chief Reed touches base with the city attorney, make sure that there's no issue. We want to take action on this.
I make a motion to put it in Chief Reed's hand to trade out the way it's.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Manning.
Yes.
Councilmember Sewell.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Thank you. Item F, discussion of engineering projects, i.e. infrastructure. I think the Vice Mayor asked for this to be placed on there.
Yeah, this kind of F and H kind of go hand in hand, basically. So if you don't mind, let's just go ahead and take up G, and then go ahead and take care of that, and then we'll discuss both of these things.
I have no problem with that. Does anyone else have a problem? Okay.
All right. Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
All right, just as an update for concerning Mr. Hyatt, Mr. North has touched base with his council. You know, his contract has expired per resolution. He was paid a certain number of vacation weeks. There are no pending claims. There's an agreement that there will not be any claims. So as of right now, our relationship with Mr. Hyatt is severed, and hopefully there will be no repercussions in any way. There's an agreement with his attorney. So I think that we are in a good place right now. But obviously, if that changes, Mr. North will keep an update.
All right. Thanks, sir. Obviously, we wish Andrew Hyatt the best. And as I mentioned earlier, onward and upward for us. We're going to keep on keeping on and doing the very best we can. Mr. Gray.
Yeah, discussion in engineering projects, infrastructure, discussion in city manager position. Number one, Chief Williams and I, we've already had this discussion, and I think Chief Williams, he'd try to jump over this building if we asked him to. I think he would try to absolutely do anything that any of us up here asked him to do. So this discussion is by no means any reflection upon him. However, some people have strengths and weaknesses, as he and I have already discussed, and right now, exit 1 is pretty much our top priority. And what the city, number one,
I think we ought to go ahead and start making preparations to advertise for a city manager, a new city manager. That, that's going to be a 30-day process minimum. After we receive applications, you're talking about another 30 days to vet those, and then another 30 days to vet them and reach an agreement. So you're talking about a 3-month process. So I think we ought to go ahead and get that started. One of the things that the city is quite honestly lacking in is, for lack of a better term, city engineer, and Chief Williams and I had that discussion also this afternoon, and be it either someone with public works experience that I think that we may need to hire as a new city manager, or we may need to go ahead and kind of enter into an agreement with an engineering firm to be our go-to person for the roads and for the sewer projects. Maybe not so much the sewer projects, because that'll be handled by WWTA, but the roads. We definitely are going to need help with that. I've been a real estate broker for 20+ years, and I couldn't tell you how to build a road. I don't know how many inches of gravel, to how many inches of asphalt, to how many cars per day can travel on it. I don't know anything about that, and I don't know anything about sewers. I know my limitations. So I think we ought to go ahead and start talking about what we're going to do. And the reason why this all came about, Senator Gardenhire and I were on a conference call with the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development, trying to get some money for the city of East Ridge to do these projects with. And the legislative liaison over there, Sandy Arnold, said, Mark, send me the name of the contact person, because there are some grants available out there, possibly through HUD, believe it or not. So I said, yes, okay, I certainly will. And after I had that discussion with him, I called the mayor and I said, Mayor, we need to start talking about this, because quite honestly, we don't have a point person that is knowledgeable in public works area. So that's how all of this came about, and no disrespect to, again, to Chief Williams or to Thad Jablonski, but, Mr. Jablonski's got everything that he can wiggle with on his plate with other issues, so he doesn't have time to do it. Chief Williams, he's busy trying to build a fire hall and taking care of running the day-to-day operations. So I've laid it out there for the discussion, as it says. So what are other people's thoughts?
I thought right now, leave it like it is for at least another couple of months or 3 months. Chief Williams right now, we got some thing on his batteries trying to get straightened out.
Well, it's going to take that long before we even hire someone.
Right now, I say leave it like it is. That's my suggestion. Matter of fact, I put that forward.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? To leave things as they are. Basically not take any action on which part of this?
On the
City manager part. Okay. That motion's out there. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. There's a second. Have opportunity for discussion. I don't have a problem working up, having council work up a desired list of qualifications for a full-time city manager. If I recall correctly, it took us about a month and a half to do that the last time. So,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
If we did nothing but start that'll probably keep us. It is, but that's really a baseline. Yeah, and you can kind of add to it. We prefer someone that has experience in this area or that kind of thing. So, I wouldn't have a problem moving ahead with that process. That's not the motion on the floor. The motion on the floor is to just keep it like it is, and don't do anything.
Later down the road, then we can come back on.
Again, have tremendous respect, and Chief Williams had, and I had this conversation earlier this week. Like I said, I have tremendous respect for him. I think he's doing a great job,
And I agree.
Right, I understand. I don't want to take him out when he's in the middle of something. I also don't want to leave him in so long that he gets burned out trying to do 2 jobs. You know, that way that's really what to do. So, you know, I guess it's a balancing act here.
So get a motion on the way to get it
Well, we're still in discussion period here. But those are my thoughts. I think.
I don't think Mr. Williams wants it forever anyway, but, you know, I think that we put him in here, let him get some things, like I say, get the fire hall going and all, and I don't have a problem looking, make the qualification what we want, but I think we really need to look.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying get rid of him next week or even next month, or, you know, we're talking about an extended, 3-4 month process here. You know, I think last time it took 6 months before we found someone because we didn't like the first batch of candidates. So we had to go back and re-advertise again for 30 days and vet them for 30 days. So, again, Chief Williams and I have had this discussion. He understands why I'm bringing this up, and it's absolutely nothing against him. I think he's a great guy, and hell, he runs into burning buildings for a living. How much more braver can you get than that? So.
One thing I can say about Chief Williams, he's got some, and you know yourself, and everybody on this council knows, he's got some things going on right now. I've seen some, I can't say what, but I've seen him do some stuff that needed to be done years and years ago, that turning the wheels got everything, wheels starting to getting our city going forward. That's what I can pour about.
Kind of because we kind of looked at both of these items at the same time. I absolutely agree with Vice Mayor Gravitt's point that we're going to need some help with infrastructure, with roads and sewers.
We had somebody a while back, had somebody, they didn't charge us unless we all, we went into this back, maybe before you got on, I don't know. Had an engineer and firm, that, and some of them went money up front just to say they were our engineer. And what we had, they didn't charge anything.
I do think, the bare facts are these, that we're talking about the exit 1 upgrades, the reconfiguration, and that's 50-year-old transportation technology down there. There's a reason they don't do clover leaves anymore.
Get a farm work on it, would be just hire somebody.
That farm was Thompson,
Monson.
and he helped us out quite a bit.
And our sewers are older than that. In a lot of cases.
No longer at Thompson.
So we definitely need some help in that area. And
Mr. Mayor, are we discussing item L for item H, city manager's position, or?
they were kind of combined, motion.
I know the motion was made on H. Now we're on here discussion.
Well, it is related in that Vice Mayor Gravitt said, he would like to potentially seek a city manager that has the background or has some background in the infrastructure part. So they are tied together. If there's no other comments, questions, or whatever, then we'll proceed to a vote on the motion that's out
It
there.
says, Mayor, has nothing to do with height, stuff, right?
No, not at all.
And take that wrong, I didn't.
No,
Because we put it together, that's the reason I said that. That was talking about.
No, we've already covered Mr. Hyde.
Okay.
So,
I just want to be sure I didn't do that. Good,
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to just kind of leave things as they are. If there are no other comments or questions, we'll proceed to a vote on that.
so by us voting now, does that mean we're not even going to discuss potential qualifications for a new city manager or discuss possibly advertising for a new city manager? We're just not even going to talk about it? Is that, that's the way I'm understanding this?
Not this time. I
For
told you.
3 weeks. It is really, I mean, because somebody, any one of us can put it back on for the next meeting. I do think, again, I think it would be good to just start talking about what it is we would like to see in the next, in the next
That's
city
all I'm
manager.
talking about, is talking, start talking.
But that's not the motion that's on the floor right now. The motion on the floor is to not take really any action beyond status quo, exactly where we are. So if there are no other comments or questions or no, I guess revisions to the current motion and second, then we'll proceed to a vote. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
No.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Manning.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
No. All right. So that really takes care effectively of both of those items. And again, at any point in time in the future, we can bring up one or both of these issues, but for tonight, in the immediate future, we will take no action. We'll just leave things as they are. With that, I think we take care of everything on the agenda for tonight. I do want to mention, I think Chief Williams had asked if we could have a very brief executive session, council. So if you all, instead of heading out, if you'll gather in one of the meeting rooms back here in the back, we will have that discussion. Thank you all.